Ready to go? Okay. So now, after the great white throne of judgment, this is where time ends. That's everything we know it right now. The time as we know it has come to a close, and we have now entered eternity. So when eternity begins, you are either in heaven in the presence of God for all eternity, or unfortunately, you are with Satan in the lake of fire in hell for eternity. So there's two choices, and at that point, there will be no other option. It's too late. So whatever has happened at the great white throne of judgment is final. So it's a final judgment. You know, think about now, we're blessed enough to get second chances in life.
We're in the appeals process.
Yeah, we're in the appeals process. So and you know, and even the system of the world, you know, allows for appeals. You know, we get chance after chance after chance, and but not so after the great white throne of judgment. Whatever happens at that point will be final. That will be it. Now, there's not a lot of detail that we know about that will happen in eternity. The Bible gives us some small details. The earth as we know it, the world as we are used to it and accustomed to it right now, will no longer exist. It's going to be burned away and purged and gotten rid of. There will be a new heaven and a new earth, and according to His promise, according to that promise, we will look for that new heaven and new earth. But don't be sad about this earth passing away, because it's going to be a better place. It's going to be a better situation. There's going to be a new Jerusalem. John in the New Testament, he saw, as he described, a beautiful city coming down from God, prepared as a bride, adorned for her husband. The Bible talks about many mansions there, streets of gold, walls of jasper, crystal sea, no sickness, no pain. The Bible talks about every tear from our eye being wiped away, no more sadness, no more sickness in your body, no more death, loss of loved ones, no more disappointing and broken relationships, no more financial problems, right? So it will just be in God's presence for eternity, for all time. Okay, so it's gonna be wonderful. It's gonna be incredible. Revelation 21 uses some imagery, some awesome imagery, to describe this eternal, wonderful dwelling place for God's people. It describes the city around 15,000 miles in length, breadth, and height. And I'll finish it with this, Revelation 21:16. And the city lieth foursquare, and the length is as large as the breadth. And he measured the city with the reed, 12,000 furlongs. The length and the breadth and the height of it are equal. It is made, the Bible tells us, of pure gold like clear glass. Revelation 21:18. And the building of the wall of it was of jasper, and the city was pure gold, like unto clear glass. Revelation 21:21 says, and the 12 gates were 12 pearls. Every several gate was of one pearl, and the street of the city was pure gold, as it were transparent glass. And the city had no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof. So it sounds like a wonderful place. And what's incredible about that, if you think about it, you know, gold here, jasper, pearls, those are very precious things, and you don't really see construction crews. Sidewalks made of gold. So,
falls.
Right. So what that tells me is that those things are of small consequence. You know, the main thing is, you know, Jesus Christ Himself.
Yeah,
being the light.
It doesn't excite me about the gold and the gems and all of that. That doesn't excite me at all. But what does is, you know, forever in the presence of the Lord.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does anybody have any questions? Again, I'm not an end times expert, but I can answer it to the best I can, or if someone else here.
Jody's got 1 million.
No, not really.
Oh, maybe 1,000.
So, I was kind of wasn't sure if you're gonna go here or not, but there's a big question about when the rapture takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to 10 different people, you get 10 different
Right.
ideas.
Yeah.
So, in our beliefs, according to the Bible, when is actually the rapture? Is it before tribulation, after tribulation? I don't.
So there are, as you said, there are different areas of belief. Sister Teresa, you can straighten me out when I'm done if you want. So, to me, I leave room for those. I'm okay with. I don't think that it's not necessary for our salvation, whether or not we believe it's coming.
Right.
Before the tribulation, there's some people who believe it's pre-trib,
Right.
which is before the tribulation. Some people believe mid-trib, which would be after 3.5 years. Some people believe post-trib. Traditionally, it's taught that it's pre-trib, and the reason for that would be, we're the bride of Christ, and again, like we read the scripture about, the Antichrist wreaking havoc, his spirit just having free reign. So, it would be necessary
to remove those people
in order
wouldn't stand up
for that to operate. Now there are other, who believe that, that we will be here during that, and then, after the tribulation. And I read an article by Brother Bernard. If you ever read Brother David Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So he was of the opinion. Now he personally is pre-tribulation rapture, but he's not opposed to teaching on post-tribulation rapture. And his point that he may have thought was very good, that we shouldn't be so pre-trib that if in the event tribulation
That
does
we will
come,
be here. Yeah.
that our faith is shaken. And we thought, I thought we were going to be out of here by then. And then now all of a sudden our faith. But we also shouldn't be so post-trib that we say, well, he can't come today because this hasn't happened, or this hasn't happened. So we need to find a balance somewhere between, be prepared for both.
And that's what I had mentioned last week in our last study, that whatever the situation, because even in our organization there are different thoughts on what the scripture says. Mm-hmm. And so what I said and what I feel, it may not be right, but my thought is, if you're ready and you're right with the Lord, you're obedient to his word, mm-hmm. you're living a godly life, and you're ready whenever the Lord calls us, whether it's here or there, we will. Okay, so if we have to go through anything, mm-hmm. I believe God will enable us to endure it because we are his bride. If we are taken out, that's awesome, and we'll be ready either way. Yeah. So being ready either way is my thought.
And that's kind of I had this conversation with a buddy of mine that I grew up with, and he was asking me about it, and I told him I don't really know and don't really care.
There's no consequence.
I said,
right,
as long as you've got your eyes focused on Jesus, and you're ready no matter what, mm-hmm. it doesn't matter when it's going to take place.
That's right.
And the worst thing that could ever happen happens, and you're like, well, that was the worst thing that's ever happened, and the next worst thing ever happens, and we get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what we do. Life.
I've always heard, you get post, mid, trib. I've always heard people say they're pan trib, however it pans out.
So basically, you guys answered the questions that I was sitting there thinking as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I, truthfully, just be transparent. I mean, I see both sides of it. So and I don't have a problem with either one, really. I mean, I prefer to not be here, but
you prefer a pre-trib.
I do prefer pre-trib, personally.
But it doesn't matter what we prefer. It is what it is, right?
Sounds like a medical procedure.
Right. But I do. I think there's some strong points to be made for post-trib too. I think there is. So,
Jody, those scriptures are all on here.
I
Okay.
have one question.
Sure.
One of the things that you stated was that after the 1,000 years of Christ and peace on earth,
Uh-huh.
that Satan's gonna have a time
Yes,
again.
yes.
Is there a length of time that he's gonna have reign
Um,
again? Or, and
yes,
then he's
actually-
gonna still be taken to the lake of fire, but he's
Yes,
still gonna,
because there will be,
isn't it either, doesn't the fifth, you're gonna be with God in,
Yes.
eternity, or you're gonna be
so there,
killed or dead on earth?
It's 'cause
What's
there-
left?
there's gonna be another attempt at war at that time. It's when Satan's released, unbound.
So
Um,
we that,
They, people believe, that will be, have you ever heard of the war of Gog and Magog? Some people believe that that's when that war's gonna take place. The war of Gog and Magog, when he is released again. I have to look
But
at the
we will
period
be-
of time.
if it's only 1,000-year reign, of course, we don't live 1,000 years. Those who made it in the first rapture or whatever, they'll be our descendants.
Yeah,
But
we'll, yes,
They're the ones that are gonna be part of that
yes. Mhm.
again.
Yes. Now those of us that have been raptured, will be around in 1,000 years as eternal beings
Right,
with Jesus ruling
right,
within.
on the earth,
Right,
or on a new earth.
right, right. But there will be people born. There will be life continuing as it is now, just in a more peaceful state because no sin. Until, of course, there'll be no wars, anything like that, until he's released again. And then there'll be another attempt at a war. And then that's where Jesus will finally say, okay, that's enough.